Caitlin Clark
Mm-hmm.
and
I'm a fan.
Angel Reese, right?
Yeah.
They're going back and
I'm a
forth.
fan of both.
And Jamil Hill says by the time Angel Reese is done, she's going to be the Michael Jordan of WNBA.
She said
what
about Angel Reese?
She said Angel Reese, by the time she retires, can you pull up this quote? She said, by the time she retires, she will be the MJ.
She was the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie, the queen of rebounds, and the rising face of WNBA glamour, until Stephen A. Smith stepped in. What happened between Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky? And why did Stephen A. feel the need to step into the fire with a truth bomb? This is the unraveling of a brand, a baller, and a brutal broadcast takedown that's shaking the league to its core.
It's not about black and white. It's about that white player and that black player. Why? Because of the history that they had before they came to the WNBA. You see, it was all instigated. If Angel Reese was never in Caitlin Clark's face, taunting her the way that she did when they mimicking what Caitlin Clark was doing to numerous opponents en route to the Final Four. And then Angel Reese and LSU bust their living, you know what, at that particular moment in time. And Angel Reese was in her face chirping at her the way that she did, it would have never gotten to this point.
Have a lot of folks that have come to the defense of numerous WNBA players because they were pointing out, like, this has been going on before long and people are not hating on her. It's not about hating on her. It's that you feel she is getting a level of attention that you deserved and you warranted long before she ever came along.
It all began with promise. Angel Reese was on a meteoric rise. From LSU glory to becoming one of the most hyped rookies in recent WNBA memory, fans were buying tickets, merch, and the narrative. But behind the glitz was pressure. And behind the cameras, doubt.
The new season tipped off this weekend with several marquee matchups on the slate. Most fans were excited to see Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever take on Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. The game was a blowout as the Fever beat down Chicago 93-58, with Clark's triple-double leading the way. But the biggest headline coming out of the game on Saturday is the investigation the WNBA is conducting into allegations of hateful fan comments directed at Angel Reese. It happened after this play when Clark slapped at the ball after Reese grabbed an offensive rebound.
The media spun a rivalry, Angel versus Caitlin, and the league leaned into it hard. But what started as theatrics on the court was about to spiral into a battle for relevance, respect, and reality.
Because I was calling it from day one. You got people that are resentful towards her. But it's really not about her, guys. It's about what she represents. Before she ever came along, there were a lot of outstanding basketball players who happened to be black females that was doing their thing on the WNBA level. And they never got this kind of shit.
Then came the Sky versus Fever game, the moment the nation tuned in. But instead of dominance, Reese delivered 4 points. And the internet noticed.
A second of it. Your thoughts?
Oh, first of all, it's not a rivalry. Not when you lose about 35 points.
That's true.
It's not rivalry. Indiana Fever's on a different level than the Chicago Sky. Let's get that out the way. Secondly, as much as we love Angel Reese because she is special, she's not Caitlin Clark as a player. Caitlin Clark is on a different level. We just have to own that. Angel Reese can rebound the basketball. She's a damn good player. She's got a bright future in the WNBA, but Caitlin Clark is next level.
It's not a rivalry when you lose by 35. Caitlin Clark is on a different level. Angel Reese is good. She's not Caitlin Clark.
I'll elaborate a little bit more on that in just a second. But before I do that, I want to ask you your thoughts about apparently some racial animus that was thrown in the direction of Angel Reese. The Chicago Sky have gotten involved, talking about they're going to protect their players at all costs. The WNBA has issued a statement saying it abhors and discourages hate of any kind, etc., etc. Your thoughts about it? Here's the WNBA statement. The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league or in society. We are aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter. Your thoughts about that element of all of this, where you believe it emanates from, and do you think it will ever subside?
Oh man, the latter part of that, Stephen A., is quite the thing to think on. I think when you go back to the impetus of the rivalry that we have between Caitlyn and Angel Reese. I remember funny clips on the internet.
Even outside of sports media, thought leaders like Patrick Bet-David questioned the narrative. Was Angel Reese a brand built on marketing, or a player who failed to meet expectations?
Caitlyn Clark's or Angel Reese's popularity in large part is attributed to her behavior towards Caitlyn Clark. Because when Caitlyn Clark was busy taunting opponents a couple of years back before LSU smacked Iowa around in the national championship game or so, it was Angel Reese that was clapping back at Caitlyn Clark once it was Caitlyn Clark's turn to have her come up. And that's what made Angel Reese famous. Now, Angel Reese experienced vitriol thereafter. It was tough for her to deal with, as she articulated, and that's unfortunate because we got some no good ass people.
And in the aftermath, things turned even darker. Allegations of racial hate toward Angel Reese surfaced. The WNBA responded swiftly, but fans questioned, is the criticism about race or results?
Only women. This is only women that get this. I'm tired of it. Like, here's my thing, you guys. What else? Who are these girls? Who are these girls that are hating on Caitlyn Clark? Are you just combing through Twitter? What else are these women supposed to do? Fawn over her? Fangirl over her? Bend the fucking knee? Kiss the like, what do you want from them? We cannot, every time the girl plays a game, she got 40 games, guys. She got 35 more games. We are not every single game gonna revisit and retread this same tired ass rhetoric that all these girls are hating on her, and they need to be thankful they have been.
Some say Angel is a victim of an unfair spotlight of race and rivalry narratives spun out of control. Others say she walked into this willingly, inviting comparisons, flaunting fame, but failing to perform.
The Goose comes along, and she wreaks havoc. She's the Rookie of the Year. She's 4th in the league in MVP voting. 4th in the league, her rookie year. Wow. Outstanding. She's like Steph Curry. She can pull up from anywhere. You understand? She has that kind of capability. Didn't win a national championship. Lost to LSU one year. We lost to South Carolina another year. But she's outstanding and clearly worthy of being the #1 overall pick. And what I was saying to everybody is ride the wave. Rising tide lifts all boats.
Now, Angel Reese faces her biggest opponent yet. Not Caitlyn Clark, not social media, but her own reflection. Can she rebuild? Or will she be remembered as the player who had it all and let it slip?
Ball. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being 4th in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table.
If you thought this was over, think again. The next chapter is just beginning. Subscribe for full breakdowns, game-by-game coverage, and the real stories the networks won't tell you. This is WNBA Unfiltered.
Actually feel bad for Angel Reese at this point, and it has nothing to do with like how she's handled herself or anything. It's just simply Caitlyn Clark is so much better than Angel Reese at basketball that it doesn't feel fair.
Yeah, I think Angel Reese is struggling with the fact that Caitlyn Clark is better at her best thing than she is.
She's better at everything.
And
did a triple-double. She's tied for the 3rd most triple-doubles in WNBA history, and she's played 50 games.
Yeah.
From NCAA glory to WNBA controversy, Angel Reese was once hailed as the future of women's basketball. But now, she's getting benched, slammed by analysts, and called out by none other than Stephen A. Smith himself.
Unfortunately, it comes with the crown.
I got to push back on you a little bit.
Okay.
I think you're being a little bit too PC. Let's call it what it is. I am not trying to say that she should be criticized or she is wrong. What I'm saying is by pulling it down, clearly you felt there was something wrong with it. Now, yes, you are 22. Yes, you are young. And there's a lot of things that we didn't want people to know about when we were her age. Fair enough, especially me, okay? Because I'm 30 plus years removed from that age. I got that part. There was no social media then or whatever. But here's my point to you. She knows this social media. She is not dumb. She's quite a brilliant.
Let's rewind. Angel Reese's rise was nothing short of spectacular. From dominating the NCAA tournament to winning a national championship with LSU, she was a cultural force.
Key Robinson of the WNBA will be Caitlin Clark. If she stays healthy, there's a group of them that would hope for her to be out. But
why do you say she's going to be the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA?
Well,
it's not like she's the first white girl.
She's not the first white girl, but she's the first white superstar at the levels where she's scoring these, the threes she's shooting. She's like a Steph Curry. She's the first actual superstar that people care. When's the last time we watched like college basketball? If I told you, tell me the greatest college female basketball players last 30 years, and you watch I know her. She's our meat, but you look at some of these names, you see some of these people on how they do.
In her first few games with the Chicago Sky, fans were shocked, not by her dominance, but by her disappearance. Stephen A. Smith on First Take. This ain't Baton Rouge anymore. For points? FOUR? She better wake up or she's gonna be out of here. What else are these women supposed to do? Bend the knee to her. This isn't about clout, it's about contribution. Even while injured, Clark's presence is magnetic. She doesn't just play, she elevates everyone around her. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is being shifted around the court like a misplaced puzzle piece. He's shuffled Reese through more roles than a Hollywood agent. Power forward, stretch four, mystery position? Nothing's working. It's not strategy, it's desperation. In a world where sports and society collide, two towering figures emerged from the landscape of women's basketball. Angel Reese, the unapologetic queen of swagger, and Caitlin Clark, the silent sniper of the hardwood, each bringing with them not only incredible talent, but deeply rooted narratives that have reshaped how we perceive competition, media, race, and legacy in the modern WNBA. Reese, often draped in defiance and charisma, was never afraid to speak her mind, whether it was waving her hand in front of her face during a championship game or clapping back at critics on social media who dared to question her hustle, heart, or hairstyle. She became not just a player, but a symbol, an icon for a generation of women who had been told they were too loud, too proud, too emotional, too black. Meanwhile, Clark emerged as a basketball prodigy, her game poetry in motion, draining logo threes like layups, her calm demeanor on and off the court contrasting Reese's fire, yet fueling an equally passionate base that saw in her the discipline, humility, and razor-sharp skill of a generational talent. Clark was less about confrontation and more about domination, letting her play speak so loudly that often the roar drowned out the noise. When their paths collided on the national stage, particularly during the 2023 NCAA championship and later in their early WNBA careers, the media didn't just cover their performances. It crafted a narrative of rivalry, not just between two players, but between two ideologies, two Americas even, as commentators, influencers, and fans quickly turned every dribble, tweet, and post-game interview into symbolic ammunition in a broader cultural war. Reese's fans saw her as a survivor of double standards, a woman punished for being confident and competitive in ways that would be celebrated in her male counterparts, while Clark's fans saw her as the embodiment of focus and excellence, refusing to engage in petty antics and instead setting record after record with cold-blooded efficiency. Together, they weren't just playing ball, they were drawing battle lines across race, gender expectations, and class dynamics in a way that sports had rarely seen before. The WNBA, which had long struggled to break through into the mainstream sports consciousness, suddenly found itself at the center of cultural conversation as games involving either Reese or Clark began to sell out arenas, break viewership records, and inspire unprecedented debate across cable news, podcasts, and TikTok alike. Yet this exposure came with a double-edged blade, as every hard foul, missed call, or tense exchange between the two stars was dissected like a political debate, stripping away nuance in favor of sensationalism, forcing both athletes to become not just players, but lightning rods for criticism, praise, and projection. Reese, constantly reminded of her attitude problem by critics, leaned deeper into her authenticity, refusing to shrink or conform, while Clark, under pressure to say something about the backlash her mere presence seemed to generate, walked the tightrope of diplomacy, choosing her words carefully so as not to alienate fans or stir more controversy. But both young women, barely in their 20s, were suddenly not just rookies but revolutionaries. Whether they liked it or not, their every movement caught in the crosshairs of an America desperate to define what it wants its heroes to look like. Off the court, endorsements poured in. Reese became the face of boldness, aligning with beauty brands, streetwear labels, and outspoken celebrity allies like Shaquille O'Neal and Cardi B, while Clark's deals with Nike, Gatorade, and ESPN positioned her as the golden girl of next-gen women's sports. Yet even here the comparison game didn't end, as fans scrutinized whose face appeared more often on billboards, whose jersey sold faster, and what that said about marketing biases in a still male-dominated industry. On the court, tensions occasionally boiled over. Flagrant fouls, side-eyes, passive-aggressive comments in press conferences, all of it feeding the media machine. But behind the scenes, both women expressed a begrudging respect for each other's game, even as the storm around them kept them in a state of competitive isolation. They weren't friends, but they were rivals in the truest, most mythic sense. Not enemies, but mirrors, each reflecting the other's strength and vulnerability, their rise tied together by fate, timing, and an era that desperately needed heroes. As their rookie seasons unfolded, fans and analysts alike realized that the league's future wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about storytelling, personality, and cultural currency, and no one carried that weight more heavily, or more visibly, than Angel and Caitlin. Games between their teams, the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever, turned into gladiatorial events, with packed crowds, celebrity sightings, and post-game debates that often overshadowed even the final score. And yet, through all of this, neither cracked. Reese responded to boos with buckets, Clark answered hard fouls with three-pointers, and together they elevated the entire sport, forcing the world to pay attention not just to women's basketball, but to what it means to be great in the age of constant exposure. There were moments when the burden seemed too much. Reese's emotional breakdowns, Clark's tense silences, but both learned to channel that pressure into performance, each one pushing the other to evolve. Reese expanded her game, improving her outside shot and cutting down turnovers, while Clark became a more vocal leader, her playmaking sharpened by the relentless physicality of the pro game. And somewhere along the way, a quiet shift began. Fans who once saw them as opposites began to see the overlap, recognizing that both were navigating a terrain no young woman should have to do alone, being brilliant while being judged, being legendary while still being learning, and carrying the hopes of a generation that had finally found heroes who looked, spoke, and played like they had imagined in their wildest dreams. By the end of their first season, it was clear. Reese and Clark were no longer just rivals. They were revolutionaries. And whether they liked each other or not, whether they ever shared a hug at mid-court or not, they had together changed the WNBA and perhaps even the wider sports world forever. Because in the story of Reese versus Clark, we didn't just find drama or talent or controversy. We found ourselves.